Let's talk about emotional elegance and why it is an essential component of being a woman who always gets what she wants. Yesterday, I was working with one of my private clients, and she's moving through a gnarly divorce. This has been going on for about 5 years, lots of toing and froing, and she's just been called into a deposition. When she came onto the call, she was in her head, spinning lots of stories, catastrophizing. She felt unsafe, very, very scared. So what we did on this call was, first of all, I held space for my client to offload, because this is what we need to do sometimes. We need to offload without someone interrupting us, without someone telling us what to do. We just need a safe, compassionate space for us to spill out what's going on in our mind, because in the process of that, we actually are divesting ourselves of those energies. We're creating more space. Now, when my client felt like that was coming to a completion, I asked for her consent, and I said, are you ready to go inside? And she knows that's our cue to drop inside her body, because one of the questions she asked me was, I don't know how to handle all of this. I don't know how to handle my emotional elegance, how to be strategic and fierce and compassionate all the same time. She goes, I just feel like I'm overwhelmed and scared, and I'm fearing the worst. And so I took that on board, and then I took her into her body. How do I get my clients into their bodies? Breath. Super simple. It's the easiest bridge to get your mind and your body connected. You see, when you're living in your head, you're using 1/7 of your wisdom centers. That's the first thing. But also, it's really good up here. Rationale, logic, strategic. But if you feel unsafe, if there's a lot going on, if there are feelings that need to be felt, you're not going to do it from your head, and you have to do it inside your body. So what I decided to do with my client yesterday was take her around the 7 wisdom centers of her body and allow her to be in each area, each wisdom center, and soak up the wisdom. You do know all your wisdom, your inner knowing is inside your body. It's not just inside your head. Yes, you do know that, right? And the thing is that you and I live in a world that domesticates women to live up here in our heads, to be cut off from our wisdom. Why does the world want that? Well, it wants women cut off from their power. So going back to my client, she is moving around her body. She's gathering up the wisdom, the power from each of these wisdom centers. And in the process of her coming out of her mind, and here's the thing, my clients, for you to be able to do this, you've got to be willing to drop inside your body. You've got to be willing to look at yourself and life through a different lens. You cannot be dogmatic and just think, oh, I just need to solve it from my head and my mind. I need to find a resolution. Sometimes we don't have resolutions. Sometimes we don't have answers. Sometimes we don't know which way to turn. And yet in those times, that is a time to drop into our body and to feel what's going on. So as my client went around her body, she gathered up all the power, the wisdom from these wisdom centers. She's self-soothing her emotional landscape. She's calming down. She's coming back home. She's reconnecting to herself. She's giving her mind more space, and she's becoming more grounded, centered at the same time. So when that journey was completed and she came back and she was with me, I was like, how are you? How are you feeling? She said, I feel much calmer. There's a lot more space. She says, I can see it now. I can see how I can activate my warrioress spirit, and I can also be strategic here. And this is how I truly believe we all need to be strategic. And to be strategic, we need to soothe our emotional landscape down. We can't be strategic when we're emotional. And she says, I'm ready. I'm ready as I ever will be for the deposition tomorrow. She said, thank you. So the moral of the story is, you have wisdom inside you. You, and only you, can control your emotional landscape. And for you to do that, you've got to be willing to stop, to pause, to slow down, to recognize that you're in your head, you're telling yourself loads and loads of stories, you're wrapping yourself up. I always call it like a red ball of wool, and you're just tying yourself up in knots. And you've got to sit, find your breath, and slowly over a period of time, what you do is you build the capacity to sit and hold your big, uncomfortable emotions. And isn't that a metaphor for life? Aren't we, as we're expanding and growing, expanding our capacity to sit in the unknown, to sit with uncertainty, to sit with fear, to sit with all these big emotions? So what you do with yourself gets played out in life. Oh, and in the process, you become a woman who always gets what she wants.